call to the stand Ms. Julia Flowergothic of Louisiana. She stands accused of being obsessed with a YouTuber, stalking him because she is in love with him. She stands accused of lying to make herself look better and trying to cancel the YouTuber for no reason at all. She stands accused of insanity. Ms. Flowergothic, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
Ms. Flowergothic, need we remind you that the YouTuber made a video proving that you are guilty?
He showed 2 screenshots, one of me drunkenly confessing and one of me where he claims I asked him out again, which is not true. The message was in the context of, what'd you say? I never looked at his initial rejection because I was never intending to disclose my feelings. It was, by all accounts, a drunken mistake, which I admitted to and apologized for.
But you said in your final message to him that you loved him.
Look, I was experiencing a lot of feelings, okay? Maybe I said a couple of things I shouldn't have, but if you looked at things I said around the same time to personal friends, you would know that the whole love thing had little, if anything, to do with what I said. This is a correspondence with a close friend of mine on November the 3rd, 2021, talking about something I did after getting very drunk at a Halloween party, you prudes. Me. Long story short, I got really drunk on Halloween. And you know how you do some really dumb shit when you're really drunk? Friend, what did you get up to? Me. So right before I went offline for the night, well, very drunk, I might have, confessed to something to a certain someone. Friend, you didn't. Me. The realization the next morning gave me such a fucking anxiety attack that I literally just shut down all day. Friend, you poor thing. Me, I haven't checked if he responded yet, and frankly, I'm fucking terrified. Friend, well, go do that when you're ready, and then pick up the pieces later, I guess. Me, other friends been encouraging me to check today, but I don't know if I'm ready. Friend, if you were so wasted you don't remember what you wrote, hopefully that shows and you can excuse yourself for it. But it'll probably reflect badly on you. I wouldn't rush it personally. Me, I don't 100% remember what I wrote. I just remember that I did write something. I never intended to reveal what I felt for him. And it wasn't even love, it was a lot more complicated than that. I was fighting over what I was feeling. Was it love? Was it pity? Was it infatuation? Was it some shit stemming from my growing frustrations for him? Or was it a mosh podge of all of the above? Not to mention that I was already kind of seeing someone for a large portion of the time I spent editing his videos.
And welcome back to Late Night, everyone. I'm here with famed YouTuber Flowergothic, and she's here to look back at her career so far. So, Flowergothic, your latest big project.
The James Bond videos?
Yeah, those.
Well, the James Bond videos were the one thing keeping me sane while I was working shitty hours.
How did you manage to make over 9 hours worth of content in only 1 year?
I was working from like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. most days, and as a result, I didn't have much of a social life. So instead, I devoted all my time to my videos. I'd wake up at 4 p.m., eat, shower, get dressed, have 2 coffees, then work on the Bond videos from around 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., then go to work. So I was like spending 22 and a half hours every week to get the video done. Well, both videos done. And that's not even counting the time I dedicated to it on the weekends.
Wow, just wow. And it was all you?
Well, mostly me. I hired friends and other people to do some voiceovers. I did use music from other sources with proper attribution. But the filming, editing, hell, even the adaptation to the James Bond themes, that was me.
That is very impressive.
Thank Thank you.
You're welcome. So, when do you think you'll be returning to making videos?
I don't know, to be honest. So, what am I supposed to do here?
First, tell me a little about your medical history. Then I'll ask you some questions. Answer them as best as you can.
Okay. Well, my name is Julia. I was diagnosed on the autism spectrum when I was around 2, but it's not easy to see thanks to early intervention. I had trouble adjusting to middle school and as a result developed a psychosis that didn't go away until my early teens. I started having symptoms of anxiety at the same time, and symptoms of depression began my sophomore year of high school. If we're going by DSM-5 diagnoses, aside from being on the autism spectrum, I have social anxiety, unspecified anxiety disorder, and unspecified depressive disorder. I also have ADHD inattentive type, but I didn't find that one out until I was an adult.
I see. Tell me, Julia, can you describe your current emotional state?
Well, right now I'm feeling a little on edge. It's not always like that though. Since the incident, I felt all kinds of things. I've had those roller coaster highs and deep valley lows. It really just depends on how much everything that happened is getting to me that day.
Okay, have you noticed any changes in your sleep patterns, such as difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep?
Well, with the knowledge that many people are talking about me, lying about me, making assumptions about me, it's been hard to fall asleep. I try to do calming things, like listen to music and meditate, but it's becoming more rare for me to reach 7 hours of sleep on weekdays.
How has your appetite been recently? Have you experienced any significant changes in weight?
My appetite's been normal, I guess. I've lost 5 pounds within a month, though, so make of that what you will.
Do you feel sad, hopeless, empty?
Since everything that happened, more often than usual, it's an uphill battle, and he has more clout, let's say, than me. How the fuck can I not feel any of those things? Even a little bit when I'm dealing with all this. Good morning, kids, and welcome to today's edition of Spelling for Future Internet Users. Today, we're going to learn some words that are similar to each other, but refer to different things. Are you ready? Okay, first, we are going to learn the word defamation. According to the 7th edition of the Law of Journalism and Mass Communication, defamation is a false communication that harms another's reputation and subjects them to ridicule and scorn. Let's spell it together. D-E-F-A-M-A-T-I-O-N. Defamation. A false communication that harms another's reputation and subjects them to ridicule and scorn.
So, Miss Flowergothic, you say that the YouTuber claiming that you worked for him in order to get close to him was defamation?
Yes, sir. My intentions were strictly pure. All I wanted to do was help.
And him saying he had to redo a lot of your work, and other editors worked for part 2. That was defamation as well?
4 days to fix my work is too general to seem true. He probably spent like an hour or two over the course of 4 days to fix them at most. Not to mention that he has no receipts of him criticizing my work and or him saying that he took a while to fix it. In contrast, I have receipts of him praising my work and like 2 instances where he gave me constructive criticism early on. Nothing too major, stuff that can easily be fixed. And if other editors worked on the second iCarly video, why weren't they credited? Have they spoken on the record or not? If more than one guest editor worked on that project, and if my work really was that shit, why am I not only the only one credited, but was also given a special thanks credit at the end of the video, alongside one of his dearest friends and his fucking dad?
Tell us more about you, quote, kind of seeing someone while working on those videos.
I was in a sort of relationship with someone I went to college with. We'll call them D, as the name I initially knew them under is now their dead name. D and I struck up a sort of relationship in early July of 2021. We were both certainly attracted to each other, and we did a couple of projects together. And I definitely brought up D to the YouTuber on at least one occasion. I was hesitant to make the relationship official for a number of reasons, though.
What were the reasons?
Well, first off, I was graduating a semester early. A semester before D, and I was planning to move states the moment I had a chance to. Originally to Missouri, because that's where my grandma, who has Alzheimer's, is. I mean, technically she's in Kansas, but Kansas City Metro, and most of that's in Missouri, so yeah. But I ended up getting a job in Louisiana after I graduated. I didn't think I had it in me to do long distance again. Second, my first real adult relationship was emotionally and mentally abusive. So much so that I actually considered killing myself. Do you know how fucked that makes a person? And third, of course, I wanted to sort out whatever the fuck it was I was feeling with the YouTuber. I spelled this all out with the same friend I mentioned earlier.
And those feelings for the YouTuber, they were complicated?
As I said before, yes, they were complicated. Was it love? Fuck if I know! They were feelings that part of me thought was love, and part of me knew was not.
But he said that you didn't start hating him until he turned you down.
But you see, he couldn't have known my motivations at that point. And here I will bring out my first character witness, courtesy of Discord.
I've watched this whole video and it really feels slimy to me. He basically takes zero responsibility for his failures as an employer. He explains that he didn't know better back then, and sorry, that's not an excuse when you hire people. Not in the slightest. He says that his editor has done bad work, and he had to spend a lot of time correcting it, but doesn't even claim that he brought it up with her. On the other hand, we have screen caps from her showing him praising her work. He accuses her of lies multiple times, never shows any evidence. He tries to portray her as a stalker, but again, where's the evidence of that? The DMs he shows may be a little embarrassing, but they aren't sexual harassment or stalking. They're just messages from a person trying to confess her feelings. I don't see anything out of the ordinary in them. Then at the end, he spins a narrative that she tried to manipulate him into dating her by guilt-tripping him over how hard she worked on his videos. And now she's taking revenge on him because she's mad he turned her down. And the evidence of it is supposed to be the fact that she got angry at him shortly after that. Like, 1, this is an old misogynistic stereotype of a hysterical woman who's a jealous bitch. 2, a much more simpler and therefore more probable scenario than some elaborate plot is simply that after he rejected her, she stopped seeing the situation through rose-tinted glasses, and that's why she started airing her grievances at this point much more directly.
I lost 2 people I know to cancer within a month of each other this year. First it was a former coworker of mine, and then it was my great uncle. We all knew it was coming for both of them. One had been sick for a very long time, and the cancer was discovered too late for anything to be done. It was still heartbreaking to learn about both deaths. It didn't work with my former coworker for very long. I didn't see the relative that often, but that coworker was one of the kindest souls I knew. And my great uncle was, well, he was a load of fun. You treasure people like them, I guess. Especially when you work terrible hours. At least in the case of the coworker. And they both certainly were treasures.
Do you often feel sad, helpless, or empty?
Somewhat, yeah. When the hobby you've had for over a decade starts getting bad-mouthed over a series of lies, that really fucks with your psyche.
Are you feeling more anxious or worried than usual? Do you experience panic attacks?
Yeah, anxiety, panic attacks, the works. There are times where I can't even leave my apartment because of all the stress. I'm getting better at it. Taking up cosplay as a hobby certainly helps, since I'm not, going out as myself. It also helps you meet new people, and God knows I need a social life.
Have you noticed any change in your energy levels? Are you feeling unusually fatigued or restless?
Restless, sometimes. Again, it really depends on how much everything is getting to me. I only feel fatigued if I sleep especially terribly.
Do you have any difficulty concentrating, making decisions, or remembering things?
Sometimes, if it's something I'm not particularly interested in, it can take forever for me to get something done. Decisions come easy to me most of the time, and I have a good memory, but I just misplace things, like my phone and my keys. Hopefully this will get better when I start treatment for ADHD.
And what say you to the claims that everybody is taking the YouTuber's side?
The only people who care about this are his fans and drama leeches. My real life has been entirely unaffected by this.
But you say you've been emotionally and mentally affected by all of this.
I can be affected by something even if it doesn't directly impact my day-to-day life, okay? I'm Julia Flowergothic. I'm Julia and I'm Flowergothic. What happens to Flowergothic will affect Julia and vice versa. Do you think I like having to keep all of my pain a secret from the people I see every day? That I take pleasure out of silently suffering? Fuck no!
Then why keep them separate?
Because I enjoy the life I have now. I have a well-paying job I love more than anything. I have friends both online and in real life. I have hobbies. I have a family. I don't want to give any of that up over some bullshit on the internet about me. And yes, there are people that know both sides of me, but those are only the people I have the highest amount of trust and respect for. The same amount of trust and respect I used to have for him.
So what is your favorite kind of content to create?
Easy. Media analysis. I want to do more of it in the future, and I have so many ideas. I was like between 3 projects before I went on break.
Any videos you regret making?
The only video I truly regret making is my pubescent psychosis. Only because I didn't realize internet weirdos would try to use something that happened to me in middle school against me. Other than that, there are videos that I would have done better if I could redo them. I would have taken out a lot of the jokes in the La Luz del Mundo video. Most of them were irrelevant and muddled the actual content. I wish I didn't try to introduce channel lore in my 2010 trilogy. It was sloppily done, and I don't like putting lore in my content anyway. There probably was an easier way to introduce the Prince of Mars part. My Regal sequel video was rushed because of my editing job at the time. I wish I took the time to make sure I got everything right. The audio for the Great Balls of Fire video could have been better. I could have done the musical number in my La La Land video a lot better, audio-wise and picture-wise. And I deeply regret and have since privated most of my middle, high school, and early college content. It was super cringy, very cringy, extremely cringy, and I did some things that I would absolutely not do today. I know I'm not a perfect content creator, and every video is a lesson, I suppose.
Have you ever had thoughts of self-harm or suicide? Do you currently have these thoughts?
I self-harmed in high school to cope with my mental problems. Nothing too serious, nothing that could have killed me. Just the sharpest thing I could find that would leave a mark but wouldn't draw blood. Suicidal ideation came when I was in an abusive relationship. At that point, I was self-harming again. I was isolated from family and friends. I was gaslit. I was even... Well, I don't like to talk about it. That entire year of my life has been blacked out from my memory. I've been clean for about 4 years, self-harming-wise, though.
Have you experienced any unusual perceptions, such as hearing things or seeing things that others don't?
Not since middle school, and I can attribute all that to being unpopular, having an overactive imagination, and a feedback loop that made everything worse, the more isolated I felt amongst my peers. The cycle broke when I was 13, though, and I haven't had any unusual perceptions, hallucinations, delusions the like since.
How are your relationships with your family and friends? Have there been any recent conflicts or changes?
I have a good relationship with my family. I'm very close with my dad. We're very similar people. I'm not as close with my mom, but we both love each other dearly and we can confide in each other. My brother is not my best friend, but we're still pretty close. And I have good relationships with my real-life and internet friends.
Have you recently experienced a major life stressor, such as a loss, a move, or a job change?
Well, I moved back in June for a new job. A former coworker of mine died after a long illness. And someone on the internet has been defaming me, and it's been a real blow to my mental well-being.
Would you say these life stressors, especially that last one, have caused you to experience thoughts of self-harm or suicide?
I couldn't bring myself to go to either funeral. I don't know why, but it hurt too much for me to go. I mean, how much do you think it hurts when you lose 2 people to the same fucking disease within a month? A current coworker of mine went to the former coworker's funeral, though. She even met another one of my former coworkers. He told her that I seemed to be thriving, and she told him that I'm happier. Am I, though? I'm certainly in a better place, but am I happy? I don't know. Perhaps I'll never know. Now, slander is a type of defamation. According to the textbook, slander is defined as a spoken word that damages one's reputation. Compared to libel, which is the same, but with the written word. Both constitute defamation. Now, defamation per se can be either libel or slander. Does anyone know what per se means?
Ew, I know, by nature, by itself.
Correct! Good job! Defamation per se refers to a statement that is in and of itself defamatory. For example, if you publicly accuse someone of doing something illegal, such as stalking, harassment, and the like, that counts as defamation per se, which most, if not all states, have laws against. Isn't that amazing?
So you're saying the YouTuber committed defamation per se?
He tried to paint me as a love-obsessed stalker, which is absolutely untrue. He has no evidence to support that. All he has that proves my love for him is, again, a message I sent while drunk and the aftermath of that.
Then why didn't you send a cease and desist?
I did. Those things can be easily ignored.
Then why didn't you file a lawsuit?
I drafted one as kind of a last chance before I went ahead and filed it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I love my life as Julia too much to interfere with it. I will not sacrifice that through costly litigation.
Ms. Flowergothic, a number of people have said that people wouldn't be so charitable to you if the genders in this situation were reversed. What do you...
I'm going to stop you right there. It is public knowledge that the YouTuber was creepy in the direct messages of two female creators. When this was revealed, do you know what his fans did? Say, oh, he's just socially awkward and nervous. He's just a shy, small, sad boy. Don't you fucking dare say it would be different if the genders were reversed. You had your chance to prove that, and it's gone. In fact, now it's a good time to bring out my second witness.
So the only communications he ever shows between them is when she drunkenly said she had a crush on him, and of course his shitty attempt to turn her down. Then, the time she asked about what he said and his more proper response. Anything beyond that is really just on his word. And all that, he doesn't even sound confident in what his contents of those messages were. It's just his silly attempt to explain his side. Did you know he also claims she only hates him because he turned her down? His fans aren't helping his case. They're attacking others who call out his behavior. Plus, his history of chasing after the popular female creators does not help him at all. If this, from his perspective, is true, it just makes him look like a massive fucking hypocrite.
How do you cope with stress? Are there any specific strategies or activities to help you with that?
I throw myself into my hobbies. I know it's not the healthiest thing to do, but somehow writing, filmmaking, music, that all makes me forget about my troubles for a while.
Are you satisfied with your overall quality of life? Are there aspects you would like to improve?
I mean, I would love to go out more. I would love to be better at saving money. I wish I said goodbye to him. I wish I reached out when they said my coworker was in hospice. I wish I reached out when I knew how little my great uncle had left to live. I wish I said goodbye to both of them. My coworker would have remembered me. He definitely would have remembered me. And I might have not agreed with my great uncle, but he was still family, and he still would have meant a lot for him if I said goodbye. Why didn't I reach out to either of them? Why didn't I go and say goodbye to either of them? I had the time and effort to do that. Why the fuck didn't I do that? Why the fuck didn't I do that?
Are there any substance use habits you would like to discuss, such as alcohol or drug use?
I mean, I keep everything in moderation. I don't smoke. I don't do hard drugs. I have, at most, 1 or 2 drinks on weekdays. I don't normally have, hard alcohol unless I'm out. And even then, I'm usually with friends. I have a high tolerance anyway. comes from being a Cajun, I guess. It takes at least 3 drinks for me to even feel buzzed.
How do you feel about your self-esteem and self-worth?
It could be better, I guess. I like to think highly of myself, but when people on the internet say you're a psychotic alcoholic, that gets to you. I like to think I have thick skin, but some of it does get to me.
One more question, Julia. How well do you manage daily responsibilities, such as work, school, or household tasks?
As best I can. I sometimes forget things like something I'm supposed to do at work or an errand I'm supposed to run. I guess it comes from the ADHD, but I'm trying to be better about it.
That will be all. Thank you.
So when you do return to YouTube, what's the first thing you're going to make?
Probably something grand, something epic, something where I just pour my heart, soul, and mind into each and every frame. Something that makes people see every aspect of my being. That's what I would want to make once I return.
Wow, just wow. Thank you very much for coming out tonight, Flowergothic.
People of the jury, I never called myself a victim, nor would I ever call myself a victim of this YouTuber. All I did was say publicly that he was a bad boss and a bad friend, and instead of owning up to his mistakes, he initiated a smear campaign against me. I know I'm not perfect. Looking back, I'd have disclosed a lot more, a lot sooner. I can be impulsive. I can say things that I regret later. I can be bitchy. I can even be a bit spiteful at times. But I hid my feelings out of shame, people of the jury. I was ashamed of having any sort of closeness or feelings of closeness regarding him, that I hid it all under lock and key. It was always shame. All I wanted to do was tell my story on how I was exploited as a young, inexperienced editor. And I don't care if the people of the jury don't believe me, but the evidence supporting me is damning. Thank you for your time. Hey guys, it's Flowergothic, and this is The Return.